Black History Month only 1 month, or should we forever be black every day at black? Come together as black people. Work together as black people. Stop killing off each other. Stop bad-minding each other. Stop deceitful each other and come together. Do we believe in black history every day, or it's only 1 month we care about the black history? I am just asking you all, happy Black History Month. Happy Monday. We have to get into this one quick and fast. So they said that the White House is double downing when it comes to black history. Let's get into it.
And other special observances. The Pentagon's intelligence arm, for example, will no longer celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Women's History Month, and Pride Month. WREG's Alex Coleman tells why some retired military leaders in Memphis are blasting the Pentagon's decision to comply with President Trump's executive orders.
Reaction pouring in on the latest move from the White House. In response to President Trump's executive order banning diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, the Pentagon's intelligence agency has paused special event programs and related events. Representative Karen Camper of Memphis is the Tennessee House Minority Leader.
Well, first, Alice, let me say this. I'm disappointed, number one, but I'm actually not surprised because this president pretty much told us that these are the kinds of things that he would do.
The affected events include the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. birthday, Black History Month, Women's History Month, Holocaust Day and Days of Remembrance, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, LGBT Pride Month, Juneteenth, Women's Equality Day.
And you know the funniest thing, people? Every time there's Black History Month, then you have Chinese New Year come fall right in February. The Chinese people didn't even give us a chance to have our whole Black History Month. If you look, sooner or later, you're going to have Chinese New Year in the same February month if you're not careful. But do you believe in Black history? Do you think your Black history is something that is great? And are you proud of yourself, Black? Are you out here still bleaching out and saying that you want to be something else? You want to be white out? Anyways, let's get into this one.
February marks the beginning of Black History Month, and it comes as the White House is dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts within the federal government. Fox 9's Leon Purvis is live in the newsroom. And Leon, here in Minnesota, that's sparking some harsh criticism.
Nathan, that's right. The people I spoke with believe education and celebration of Black History Month must go on. They aren't surprised by this move, but they believe now is the time for their stories to be told.
So racism is when people treat you differently because you're black or white. So for me, this does not do anything except make me double down on my commitment to teach it to my children.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born in 1929 in Georgia.
Shaletta Brundage is taking action into her own hands to teach her children about Black History Month.
Abolitionists and women's rights activists
after recent national efforts to undermine diversity, equity, and inclusion. On Friday, President Trump signed a proclamation recognizing Black History Month, but in the same breath, his own Department of Defense declared Identity Month's dead at DOD.
But they can keep their little money. They can keep their pocket change. And then watch us show out and show up and create new ways of sharing what is important to our culture.
The Trump administration says its rollbacks of DEI is because he believes it threatens merit-based hiring, promotion, and educational opportunities.
If that was the case, we'd have more black.
So all of that. And then back in the days, folks, back in the days, even the same Justin Trudeau that stepped down the other day, he had to come and apologize to all black military for the anti-black racism. Could you imagine? So let's get into a part of that because of Black history we're dealing with. Yes, let's continue.
It's an apology that was a century in the making.
I am here today to offer the Government of Canada's official apology for the appalling way these patriots were treated.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, on behalf of the federal government, apologizing for the racist treatment of members of Canada's only black military unit, which served in the First World War.
For failing to honor and commemorate the...
Could you imagine? Remember, it was lots of black soldiers that fight in the First World War when they pushed them at the forefront. And when you look now these days, when it's Veterans Day, only person you really see is all the white veterans. No black ones. Are they dead? Where are they? Are they getting all of their pension and all their things that they're supposed to be getting from the military? We're not sure. We're not gonna come back with another story. Not only that, this man come and apologize to the Canadian government for the anti-black military unit. But yet still, so long, this man wore blackface 3 times. This crime minister, not even prime minister, you know, this crime minister, he shouldn't be stepping down now. He should have stepped down from the longest time when he did put on that blackface. Not only that, you have black people right now in federal jobs put on a lawsuit on this man because of the anti-racism. And now he stepped down, so who's going to pay? And it's tied up in court. Even not only that, with the racism when it comes to even the indigenous people. Oh no, let's continue.
Contributions of the members of Number 2 Construction Battalion and their descendants for the blatant anti-black hate and systemic racism that denied these men dignity in life and in death. We are sorry.
Number 2 Construction Battalion was formed in Pictou, Nova Scotia. The first all-black military unit was turned away when they volunteered to fight overseas because they weren't wanted in what was considered a white man's war.
What did they call it? An all-man's white war. They weren't welcome, people. So we have shed this light in Black History Day. Yeah, don't be fooled out here. Racism is still out here. You face it every day. What does microaggression, biasness, and all of that, it's out here. Whether you go for a job interview and you see the ad, and when you get there, they drop off 10 cents, 25 cents, it's still racism. Yeah? Still racism. Let's continue.
Imagine they had to fight their country to fight for their country.
Yeah.
To fight for our country.
After years of fighting for the right to serve, they were given non-combat support roles overseas. The men were sent to the labor unit and contributed to the Forestry Corps. 23 members of the battalion died in Europe, but those that returned were not recognized for the grueling work they did and the sacrifice they made for their country.
It is my honor to be here with you to express how deeply sorry we are to all the battalion's descendants gathered here today, to descendants watching from home, and to members of the battalion who are no longer with us. We are sorry. I am sorry.
The event was held in Nova Scotia at the Truro Amateur Athletics Club, in the same area where the Number 2 Construction Battalion would have trained. Dignitaries, including the Black Cultural Society of Nova Scotia and descendants of the unit, were in attendance.
3 simple words. We are sorry.
Could you imagine, people? I know in these times, 2025.
Resonated. It's meaningful. It's important.
While this is a step forward, descendants of the battalion say they want to see meaningful action to end anti-black racism in Canada.
Those wrongs have scarred us.
All of them things are people.
It's an apology.
We begin with an internal...
And we're going to go to the same racism that are happening right now, where people in federal job are being racist, being discriminated against. Federal public service worker have a big lawsuit of still racism. Let's get into it.
Report obtained by CBC News on workplace racism in the federal public service. and it highlights an alarming pattern of systemic anti-Black discrimination. Albert De La Talla has been looking into the report. What does it tell us?
Well, Linda, what it tells us is that Black leaders face what it calls a deeply hostile environment, and that has included threats, abuse, baseless complaints, and relentless harassment, according to that study. And that study was commissioned by the Black Executive Network. That's an employee group within the federal government. The study was government funded. It took place over 2 years, and the results were presented to officials over the past week. And it does include a variety of examples from different Black public servants. And here's one of them. It comes from a former executive with the government, and that person alleged that a white colleague raised a chair at him and threatened him with the N-word during a meeting with other participants, and apparently no one in that meeting room intervened on his behalf. The study also found that Black women, they were particularly affected here. One woman described being accused of stealing a laptop and actually having the police called. And later in her career, she said she was reprimanded for supposedly violent behavior during a virtual meeting. Regarding that incident, she wrote, "My name, my reputation, my character, my word were all called into question." She said that it left her wondering if being a Black woman in her sector was more of a distraction than a benefit. The study also found these incidents often affected the mental health of Black women and even led to some suicide attempts. Alicia Campbell, she reacted to the report at a news conference yesterday. She's the national president of the Union of National Employees. She also was a supervisor with a public service. Here's more from her.
None of us here are surprised about the content of this report today because most of us have lived the report. The report just finally puts in black and white the real experiences that we've had in this government.
So regarding the report, we heard in an email from Canada's top public servant, John Hannaford. That email was to deputy ministers and the Black Executive Network. CBC obtained that email, and I'll read you a quote from it. He said, "We are committed to ensuring that we address these issues and will personally review the report and recommendations to make sure that we implement actions that bring lasting change." Also, the Treasury Board Secretariat said in a statement that senior officials next week they will discuss the report. Linda, so we'll be watching for what we hear from them.
That's some pretty alarming stuff there, the accounts in that report that you detailed. And this comes amid a class action lawsuit.
Indeed. So that goes back to 2020, and that lawsuit, proposed class action launched by Black public servants.
And that's what I'm saying. And that lawsuit is still in court. The government been fighting ever since, and this is 2025. And now the Prime Minister has stepped down. So who is going to come up to the plate and pay that money? So although we're in Black history, we're still going through racism in our jobs, in our daily life, going to the grocery store, in our daily walks, everything. We're still going through racism. So Black History Month, did we reach far or we took 10 steps back? Let me know in the comment section. Blessings.